Good morning and welcome to the Free to Be show. I'm so excited to be giving you an extra special edition. Um, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, this is being recorded live on October 29th, although this will go into the November podcast. So, for those of you who are here today, the reason why I've chosen to do a special edition of the Free to Be show is because closing out the month with that beautiful panel yesterday on uh, forgiveness and healing your soul, it only makes sense that we must talk about diving into the Replenish Me experience. So today I'm going to be in conversation with one of my clients who will be attending the Replenish Me experience. But as always, we're going to begin with our agreements. So I'll be right back after this. Let's normalize that smiling is being present with your soul and accept that you have the power to replenish from within. Let's agree that you are the creator of your world. Own the energy of your words. Most importantly, replenish with your own smile. Welcome to the Free to Be show. I'm your host, Cordelia Gaffar, the ultimate joy monger. My name literally means the heart of the ocean of forgiveness. Listen to this show as if you are excavating your life for places where you limit your own freedom. Are you free? Let's see. So today we'll be diving into the Replenish Me experience, and for this, I must be in conversation with none other than Dr. Marie Martin. Welcome to the Free to Be show. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you decided to join me?
Well, let's see here. I'm trying to think, who am I now that I think about it? Let's
Mm,
start with my roles. Okay.
yeah.
My roles in life. I am a wife, a mother. I had the honor and pleasure of being a caretaker to two wonderful parents.
Mm,
Um, and I am also a change agent. And my field is in education, in educational leadership, in organizational leadership. And what I am looking at is the future of technology and how it impacts Black and Brown students and Black and Brown communities within the fourth industrial revolution. So that's what my research revolves around. I have been in education for over 20 years now, been working overseas, also domestically, have won Teacher of the Years overseas and domestically. And during COVID, I did a pivot in life. My husband and I actually have technological expertise. My husband has his degree as doctorate in education technology, and I have my degree within organizational leadership and educational leadership. And what's amazing during this time is that, just a time like this, our skills were needed, right, during
yes.
COVID. And so we began teaching and training various districts on how to transition their teaching towards distance learning.
Mm,
Did they follow everything 1, 2, 3?
probably not.
What they were trying to do was, well, what saddened me was this time where they could have opened up the door for more experiential learning experiences for their students. They actually tried to put school in a box,
Yeah.
and that ain't working. but just to let you know, that is our mission, that is our goal, is to really focus on future technology and how can we make sure that students of color in disadvantaged communities move forward in this next industrial revolution. Currently, our clients, past clients have been Microsoft. We've worked with Google. We've worked with children's publishing companies. But currently, I have a contract with the Army, and so does my husband, and separate contracts. And I'm literally in there decolonizing the way we learn. And what I'm noticing is that this is not just a school thing, that this is a full industry thing. And that all needs to be broken up and decolonized within what we're doing. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
If there's such a thing as a small nutshell, they're not with you. You are clearly what I would call a trailblazer.
Hmm, thank you.
And I know you use the word change agent, but like everything you said is really going to propel humanity into like the 22nd century. You know, you definitely are an outlier in the way that you operate and the way you show up in the world and how you are changing the world. And
Thank you.
so, yeah.
I call myself the most uh, unknown influencer of our day.
You're not unknown anymore. Now everybody knows.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'll play a commercial a little.
Influential nobody.
You're the most influential, yes, somebody that everyone just found out about because like we're on the Wake Up with Giants network and like 160,000 people are watching right now. So now they know.
Hello.
So with your huge mission and the work that you do every day, and of course, you know, the things that you do in your personal life, how do you replenish me?
Um, well, I'm going to say that's partly you. No. Um, so Cordelia, this year has been rough for me. We know each other for about almost two and a half years,
Yeah,
maybe 1.5 year. And you are just an amazing person yourself, and listening
thank
to
you.
you and reading your book has helped open up new ideas for me. Yeah. Um, Not only as, as of course I'm an executive, I am somebody who is leading various different tasks and projects. And then there is a certain part of yourself that has to, um, I love when you say replenish, have to let go of the day, has to relinquish whatever energies that are out there to move forward. As you know, my parents, I said that I had the pleasure of caretaking my parents. I had been caretaking them, and both of them passed away this year. And through this program, I had to go into intense work with you, Cordelia.
Yes.
My mother specifically, I think I called Cordelia one day and I said, I need help, spiritual help, renewal. I need a way to gain back my personal power. And if anyone has ever dealt with a loved one with dementia, it can be quite heartbreaking, especially towards the end. And that's what I went through with my mom specifically. And it got to the point where I just could not do anything correct. It got to the point where not only did she burst through and tear through all of my insecurities, but she also tore through my superpowers.
Mm.
And and I literally called Cordelia and said, I need you. I need help. And it's funny how I had already started a journey when we first talked, our first session.
Mhm.
Um, the first session we had actually was when my mom went to her memory care center from the hospital. I literally placed her in the memory care center at about 11 a.m. By 1 a.m., I'm meeting with you for my first session. And and I'm like, all right, how we doing this? um, I just knew that as someone who is not only just a person who is passionate about what they do, I needed somebody else who is just as equally passionate about the coaching and the process of renewal that you have, right? And that's why I reached out to you. That's why I called you. I didn't need someone to just breathe with. I needed somebody who had a plan to restore me. And that's what we've been working on. Yeah. So
Wow. You know, I
I don't
I
even know if I
acknowledge.
answered your question.
Yeah, you totally answered my question 100%. You know, you more than answered my question because, first of all, I acknowledge you because you recognized something that was a requirement for you and a void. And, because of our relationship, you had already identified if I ever needed what you just described, Cordelia is the person for me,
That's it. Mhm.
And instead of just ignoring it and pushing through, right?
Yeah,
Because powerful women like you do that sometimes. Oh, I got this. I'm gonna just push through this. You're like, yeah, I don't got this, but I know someone who got me.
that's it.
And you allowed yourself to receive that word right there. You allowed yourself to
Receive.
receive the help you required. And so I honor and celebrate you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah. And it's been a great journey. I mean, there were already things that you had identified. I think I went out. I'm not the little, mindful coloring person, but I had
Yeah.
during that time, I was in that mindful coloring book, and you were like, "That's a good start. That's a good start." And and it's funny because when I think back upon that time, I went to visit my mom one day and looked outside, and there was a woman who had my same mindfulness coloring book in
Wow.
the memory
Okay.
center. I was like, I know I'm on the right track. So it was just a really good um confirmation that uh where I was going and the direction I was going was the right direction, you know. But
Yeah.
what's funny is because you talk about energy and you talk about people and energy around you and such, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember that week specifically, I was in conversations that I would normally not be in. Like, no way should I have had certain conversations that week with just the most random people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And yeah, no, seriously, like it's that energy, right? And
Yeah.
and it's that it's like God was sending me various angels in
Yeah.
my life to speak into me during that time. And it was just the most craziest thing because I would be in the craziest conversations. I'll tell you one instance for I went to get money, get
Mhm.
my cashier's check for paying my mom's bill
Right.
at the memory care, and I was still, in this space of, oh my gosh, am I making the right decision, and is this right for me? And the teller said, "Oh, Pacific. Oh, this is where my mom went. Oh, do you love it there? Your mom must love it there because my mom
Mm.
loved it there." And I was like, my mom's going this week, and she's like, "Oh, she's gonna love you. Oh, she's gonna love it there. They will take really good care of her." And then at one point, as we were talking, she says, "You were meant to have me today
Oh my
as your
goodness.
teller."
I'm like tearing up. Yeah.
I was walking up to my mom's room as they were picking her up to take her to the center. And there was a woman that I took the elevator up with. And she's like, "I'm visiting my husband." And it turned out he was in the room right next to my mom. And she says, he has dementia and this, that, yeah. And I was just like, wow. And I said, my mom too. And I don't even know how we got into the conversation, but she said, "I had to do this with my father, and now I have to do this with my husband, and
Mm.
you are making the correct decision."
Wow.
She says, 100%. She says, "I know you probably think that you're not, but you are making the correct decision." And I'm just standing there like, I don't even know how we got into this conversation, right? I definitely did not start the conversation, you know? Um,
Yeah.
and just the fact that it was continual confirmation throughout that week specifically, and then throughout um, the relationships that I had until my mom's eventual passing, and she passed away about 2.5 weeks after that. So, um, and they took great care of her. And so this is just kind of the stuff that I was going through as I was meeting with you, Cordelia. And I appreciate everything in all of our conversations. I appreciate all of it. Um, and I know um, that there is a process. And something that I appreciate as well is you noticing that I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of the processes,
Yes.
right? And notice how flexible you are
Mm.
within me working through the different processes. So yeah. I thought I was supposed to interview you first.
Yeah, well, we just switched it.
Oh my
Thank you
goodness.
for being comfortable with
I feel like
me.
I'm taking up so much space, like me. So,
And, it's okay. It is what
yeah,
it's supposed to be, you know?
yeah,
We plan, right? But there's always a bigger plan. That's what I'm hearing you
mhm,
say.
yeah,
You had a question, and it was really on your heart, and
mhm.
everywhere you went, you got the answer that you required.
That's it.
And it was in your vibration, it was in your being. You were just amplifying, "Please confirm me. Please
Mm,
let me know that I'm doing the right thing for my mom." And it came to you, and I've, really watched you blossom, in the time that we've been working together, and, how much more open you are to receiving and, and allowing, you know? Not that I've gotten you away from your color-coded calendar, but, that's necessary because I know there's at least one person listening that has one of those, and,
yes.
but that is also a requirement, that gives stability, and so, yeah, I
And
just
talking about the calendar, it's awesome how you're like, "Hold on. now that, I've had to live by that color coded calendar because, I was doing my doctorate. I was working with my parents, still a mother raising, my 8-year-old girl, um, wife, there's many hats that I wear, and still my businesses. It's been like, whoa, 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 right? And
Yeah.
so it's almost like, as you talk about that color coded calendar, a lot of colors are coming off that calendar.
Yeah.
And, speaking with you, when we talk about the replenish part, right? It's like, so now that all of these colors are coming off your calendar, right?
Mhm.
What new colors are you going to put in your calendar
Yeah.
that really uh, will fulfill your life? And it's like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And and you're filling it with new colors. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So, and one of those colors is what's happening in February, the
Oh, we're
replenish.
going we're going on a trip.
Yeah. We're
So join
going.
us,
Yeah.
right? Join us. I need friends. Cordelia's going to be busy doing her, hosting. You know, yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to go to the one in Hawaii, remember?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And it just wasn't the right time. And and um and I'm glad because my husband was encouraging me. He was like, just go ahead, just go. And yeah, if I had went, it would not have been good. That's when things started getting completely out of control for us. But it's like what you said. It's everything is in God's time, right?
Yeah.
It's in His hands. It's in her hands. Whoever got it, right?
Right.
And and uh, and I have to. Travel. We have to travel within the greater plan, and
Mm.
I think that's true. It's like there's a calling. Do you do numbers and stuff? Because people were telling me to watch numbers around me and stuff, and I saw 111 at the time a lot, which is again replenishment.
Yeah, I do watch numbers, and, like, one number that keeps coming up for me is actually 222. Um,
Oh,
yeah, that's the vibration of joy, as it turns out.
nice,
Yeah, how about that?
nice, nice.
Yeah, and, so you saw 111, you've been seeing 111 all this time?
Yeah, I've been seeing 111 all this time, ever since that
Oh.
week. 111, 111. And the first time I was like, oh wait, I was supposed to look for numbers. Somebody told me to look for numbers. And yeah, and I was walking and when I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, let me see if I see anything. Oh, I saw the Roman numerals 111.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is like 3, right? And so I was seeing, sometimes I would see 3s, but most of the time I would see 1s. And
Hmm.
so I forgot what 3s were, but 1s definitely were.
3 is a portal. Um,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
wow.
So, yeah. Not that I'm really deeply into numbers either, but these are some of the things that are gradually being added into Replenish Me 3.0
Mm,
is
okay.
like numbers, like African goddesses, the earrings that I wear is
Mm.
the goddess Ma'at of giving and receiving, and then yoni eggs now. So I don't even know like what we're going to be doing. We're definitely going to use crystals though
Oh, that's going to be
when we
awesome.
go. Yeah, yeah, that's
Should
going
I
to be
bring
fun.
my own?
You can,
I
whatever's calling to you. Yeah.
Yeah, same person that was telling me about numbers, was like, "There's this huge crystal shop around the corner. Come on, let's go over there and check it out," And I was like, "Okay, this seems good." I know nothing about crystals.
Yeah. Well, Maybe that's something we'll do. We can do
Mhm.
it privately before we do it there, and then, yeah,
Nice.
we'll see.
That'll
But,
be awesome.
it would be awesome. When you go to the crystal shop, this
Yeah.
is what you'll notice. There will be crystals that'll call to you.
Mm,
you know, and you'll feel their vibration, and it may be like you walk in the shop and you're just drawn to the amethyst, like there's this big purple stone, right? But then there'll be a vibration pulling from behind you, right?
mm,
And
mm,
it could
mm,
be, like foggy quartz or something like that, right?
mm,
And which is for grounding, this I wear
mhm.
this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or it could be red jasper, which I intended to buy carnelian, which is actually my stone, but I bought red
Mhm.
jasper, which is again it's like a nurturing stone.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Do you
yeah.
specifically go in and say, "Okay, I need this for" I know you said that they'll call to you, but do you go in with a, "I'm feeling this specific way today, and what will call to me with this particular feeling I have?" Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, that hasn't usually been my experience. Usually there's something specific that I'm trying to heal.
Mm,
And so that's usually my intention. In the case of my bracelets, though, I usually get them from someone that I know that
mm.
makes the jewelry, um, because they'll like infuse a blessing in it.
Nice.
And like even the earrings, the goddess earrings that I wear, I'm not wearing them today, but they were made by a Reiki master, and she infuses like healing in it. So um, that's the only thing. I mean, it's great to go to a crystal shop, and if you do go get like a palm crystal or decorative home decor kind of crystal,
Mhm.
but if you're going to wear crystals, I really recommend that you get it from someone who created it for you, right? Or with an
Yeah,
intention. Yeah, it
yeah.
matters. Yeah,
No,
so
that's really good advice.
yeah, and that's the only way it can really, like, elementally replenish you,
Mm,
and so there is, the crystals are like our piece that we can walk around with, but then, you know, this is part of, why I encourage being in nature, because there's nothing like being with the entire um source, right, of where everything comes from.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
um, yeah, we're gonna go
I
to
I definitely
well, you
notice
asked me
myself
one more
in
question,
nature a
and
lot.
then you what?
I said I notice myself in nature a lot lately as
Mm,
well. Yeah.
that's I mean, I wanna also, before we go to commercial break, I just do wanna say that you have really grieved so gracefully,
Oh, thank you.
so very gracefully. Um, and it's apparent that you are connecting, with
Yeah.
nature and with yourself. Um, yeah, I wish I had me when I was going through my grief with my parents.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, so beautiful. Well, after the commercial break, you get to interview me next. So,
Okay.
all right, we'll be right back. Practicing self love is to nurture the soul. And to nurture the soul requires elemental reconnection with nature. Fire is your sexuality, and earth your mindset, air your voice, and water your heart set. Replenish Me St. Martin Experience is what you require for your soul. Join me February 19th through 25th in 2023. Release, restructure, refresh, and rebirth. Nurture your soul elementally in St. Martin. So that's what we're doing.
I wish we can go tomorrow to St. Martin. I'm ready.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, tell us. And I know this is. I'm gonna just open up my interview with this. What are we gonna do? I'm so excited.
What are we gonna do? So I'm gonna
Yeah.
answer that question not like in the excursions that we're gonna go on,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna answer it from the perspective of, um, we're going to be.
Yes.
We're going to be present. We're going to slow down and actually see, not through the lens, but with our lens, our
Mm.
actual eyes, um, the beauty of this place and allow ourselves to be present outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And and just be in the energy of the island. You know, I specifically chose like Hawaii. I want to go to the Caribbean, right? Because like my family is originally from Barbados, and I miss going to the Caribbean, but I wanted someplace that had a volcano, right? Because like I had in my little um, commercial, it's very important to connect with all the elements, and that's a lot of the study and research that I've done from the nutritional perspective and from the emotional perspective is the importance of connecting with the elements in the earth and seeing the reflection of ourselves in them and healing from that perspective. So turns out there is a volcano on St. Martin. It's really in Anguilla, right? Which
Yeah.
is
Okay.
one of like the sister islands. So we're not going to just stay in St. Martin. We're going to go to, I think, two other islands that are neighboring for excursions. Um, and, you know, so it's, I guess really that day is going to be about two different elements because we'll be hiking up to the volcanoes. So we'll be, you know,
Great.
connecting with the earth in that way. Um,
This is great. I'm a hiker.
yeah. I am too. Oh my goodness. I try it, but, you know, I had to ask her, I was like, "How intense is that hike?" Because 'Cause I'm about the rocks, right? I like a little bit of hiking, a little bit of hiking with a little I called it riking. So it's like hiking with rock climbing. She's like
Wow. Okay.
but no, it's not like that. She was like, "No, it's easy, like, you know,
Mm.
like anyone of any physical, background can go."
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
like, "Okay."
Yeah, okay. You're like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the rock climbers out and I'm like, whoa, you guys are like
Good for you. Not me. Yeah.
um yeah, no, this is great. And I know that with the Hawaii trip, that there was going to be caterer, a personal chef. Are we getting that? I'm just gonna ask. We're just gonna promote this thing. No, just kidding. No, I'm excited. I'm excited. That's why. But but yeah, I remember there was a
Hello,
hello,
Eva.
good morning. There was a chef on that, and I'm wondering, does that chef play into the elements that you were talking about, or
Mm.
enhancing the experience? That type of. If you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually hey, yeah, she's in South Africa.
Yeah, nice.
You should come with us, Eva.
Yes.
Um,
Welcome.
the chef so it's gonna be a different chef this time,
Mhm.
and n no, it doesn't that's not so much with the elements, that's more about the replenish me process. Because you
Mm.
know, in my book, Detached Love, I do talk about, the importance of the 5 self-nurturing tips, and one of them is the food that you use, right? So there's sleep, thoughts, movement, food, and emotions. And so, being with the elements will be moving a lot, but the food part is more for stabilizing your constitution and helping with that presence, right? So when
Mm,
we eat the right foods, then we have the energy to allow ourselves the healing, because it really takes a lot, like, we've been working together, right? So it's like you're already outside of your comfort zone working with me, but just imagine you're not at your house,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So to help you to be welcoming of the experiences that you inevitably will experience, right? And keep you connected, within. This is why I have a chef, with a specific diet. Um, and so to answer the rest of that question that you didn't ask, no alcohol, no plant medicine, no, anything that would alter your state of
Yeah.
consciousness, none of that. It's very important to be very, um, very much alert.
Present.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
no
think that,
alcohol.
I think that's huge because that's something that, my husband and I did, um, after my mom's passing. We went for lunch. She passed in the morning. They picked her up. We were there. We went for lunch and, we had the little cocktails. And I said, okay, I said to my husband, we need to clink one last drink for my mom and we need to rid ourselves of alcohol for a while,
Yeah.
you know? And the reason, one of the reasons is that alcohol does run in my family. My
Mm,
father was an alcoholic. He was a great dad, but he was an alcoholic as I was growing up. And I did not want to fall into any type of space where that I've always been careful throughout my life on that. And I did not want to fall into any space where that could be something that I bonded myself to or with. And so we really took this time also to make sure that we were we were bonding ourselves to things that were prosperous for us, things
hmm.
that were um, things that would uplift our lives and not sink our lives. And that was one of those spaces. Um, and so, walking nature, just like what you were saying, that next morning we got up, took a hike.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, these are the things after burying my mom, we went and traveled to visit other elderly family members. Um, and that was a great experience. And thank you for being with me on that too. um,
yeah,
and meeting me while we were in that, traveling mode. These are the types of things that helped replenish us and helped give us renewal, and making sure that we're not falling, that we are moving forward, but not forgetting either.
yeah.
Um, so it has been definitely a time of growth, and so I wanted to know from you, Cordelia, is there an experience in your life where you actually had to, or is it something where you developed that process of replenish me, where you had uh, this type of change, where you had to use your own system um, to renew yourself and replenish yourself?
Yes. I got a divorce, last year. I separated from my husband in July of 2020, and so everything was finalized in May of 2021. And, and I thought that, once you go through all the legal process and everything, it's just like you're actually divorced. And so while we were legally divorced, there's another process of divorce that has to happen, um, energetically, that I didn't realize. Like, other people that I knew that had already been divorced, they were like, "Oh, yeah, you think you're ready, but you don't know yet," you know?
Mm,
And so this, Replenish Me process, that's why I was saying now we're up to 3.0. That was the 2.0 last year,
yeah.
when I realized it's like, "Whoa, what is it that I've got to release here?" So I had to release, those, spiritual ties I had with him, and, um, and still parent, grow a business, run a business, and, deal with, all the other things that I didn't realize. Some things broke down in the house. Of course, I got the house and the divorce, and then just vetting people to come and fix it, like, who knew that was a thing? It's like,
Yeah,
"What? Like, how
yeah,
hard is it? You just call a plumber, right?" Nope, they're not all created equal. And
right.
so yeah, so if I'm completely transparent, I have to say, it's like that first year, it was like I really needed to learn new ways and deeper ways to
Mm,
replenish myself. And and then, I went to Hawaii in February, and that's when I was like, "Ah, yes, this is it."
mhm.
You
Yeah,
know? And that's why I offered that in June. And then, when I went back in June, it's an amazing thing. It's like when it's one thing, and you can relate to this as a teacher, right? It's
yeah,
like it's one thing to know something, right? And learn it for yourself, but then to reinforce that learning by showing that and sharing that with others,
yes.
that is like the next level of what Replenish Me really has been for me. So
Mhm.
I, again, released more things that I didn't know were there to release. Um, I think during that time, my ex was actually taking me back to court to get another one of our kids in custody. So that was going on in the background, and I had to get on the plane the next day. And
Wow, wow.
um, and so and I have, upgraded, like now you hear me talking about crystals and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Not that I didn't always wear the crystal jewelry, but it has a different function. And also I realized that integration, that refresh piece is very important. And so I required the women in Hawaii to get massages. So that's a requirement. When you go on a Replenish Me experience, you must so there's, like, actually a spa
Yes,
day.
yes.
Yeah, so on the beach, they're gonna set up our own spa, and so you'll be connecting with basically air and water, right, while
Yes,
you're integrating your healing, um, and so that's super important. And yeah, and I didn't realize, in losing custody of another child, um, that was, I mean, of course I see him, right? But it's
yeah, of
like
course, but
every other weekend. He doesn't live
mm,
here, and, so there was a grieving process with that.
yeah,
And so, yes, I think we all love massages.
yeah. Yes, let's go, right? Yes.
Yeah. So, massages are such a great way to, not just experience something, but, you don't even realize that you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you have to, I've also done a lot of breath work, which I'm now pulling in. You've experienced that with me. Probably previous
definitely.
clients, they're like, "Breath work, I missed out on that." But, that's
Yeah,
okay. The good news is you can come back and we
wonderful.
can work together again, or you can come to St.
Right.
Martin or both. And, so the breath work pulls stuff up and out, and the massage, having someone else manipulate your muscles and nervous system help to integrate,
Nice.
things back into you as well, so
Can I talk about the breathing? Because, I've done breathing exercises. I've implemented social emotional learning within schools, right?
okay. Yeah.
A whole program. I've done and taught breathing to students. My each of my classes, after learning about how powerful social emotional learning is, we would do breathing exercises every morning before coming to class, and or before getting to work. And also, we would um, take deep breaths, and I would ask kids to, when they were upset, to begin to access their breathing, in
Hmm.
order to calm themselves down so they can talk to me again. And and so I'm very aware of breathing and the importance of breathing, and and I was taking yoga, not recently. I guess maybe I should kind of go back. That might be one of my little colors. um and my mom used to, like, do yoga as well. She was really into yoga. But The fact that the breathing exercises and activities that you have been doing are totally different than what
Yeah.
I've seen before. Even if
Mhm.
I've seen it before and I'm like, oh, this is a visualization exercise. And and I'm like, yeah, I've done this before with kids. And then by the end of the visualization exercise, you're like, so tell me, what did you experience? And I'm just like, well, I experienced this. She's like, yeah, that's what you were supposed to. I was like, what? I said, I'm not going to say this thing that I'm experiencing. I think it was the one with the balloon, right?
Mhm.
And and in the balloon, I guess I thought my perception was that I were to um visualize myself, and it would give me peace, or
Yeah.
it would give me, and it gave me something totally different. And I was like, should I just say, you're like, how did that feel? And I'm like, girl, I'm gonna be honest with you and tell you, not that many people were in my balloon. And I'm gonna just be honest, it didn't give me peace. I was like, I was very selfish in my balloon. And you were like, yeah, like, this activity was actually to have you specifically um, think about your balloon, and who was in your balloon and who was out of your balloon. And I could
Mhm.
only take you traveling to a certain point. And I noticed you were getting, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if it was agitation or
Yeah, I
just,
noticed I felt your resistance. You were just like,
ah,
"Mm, I'm not doing that," and so I pulled you back. I was like, "Yeah, she's not gonna go much further than this," and so
yeah.
I closed it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that you noticed that, right,
Mhm.
was just amazing. But the fact that what I thought the activity would be versus what you were trying to get and pull from me was absolutely amazing, because it totally, like, I took that balloon to my husband. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, "Who's in your balloon?"
Now you're checking and seeing, it's
I
like,
said,
"Let's see
"Who's
what
in your balloon?"
how tight is our relationship?"
But I mean, that's how powerful that activity was. Where in my mind, starting out, I'm like, oh, a nice visualization activity, let's go. Or, oh, a nice breathing. I'm just trying to tell your audience that what you think, I think you've said it before. You don't know what you don't know,
Yeah.
right? And you think you know, but in actuality, when I was like, oh, I could have, like, just totally have hid all of that, how I was really feeling. And I could have just been like, girl, yeah, that was a great visualization. Ooh, I feel so great now.
And actually, you couldn't have because I would've asked you the question, "So, Maria, I was noticing."
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so you actually couldn't have, because I don't let my
Oh, I
clients
see.
off the hook. Yeah, definitely.
So luckily I was truthful the first time. I also want to talk about how you pair the breathing. And so I'm really excited about the breathing because the breathing exercises that I have been experiencing with you are completely different than what I have experienced in the past. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And I think that's by design. Um, uh, but I wanted to share this with you because you were talking about the manipulation of the body. And I brought this particular quote out. So I visited San Antonio with a client a couple of weeks ago. And I was staying at the spa hotel. Just want to let you guys know Makara Spa Hotel, the
Okay.
best. Throwing that out there. San Antonio, Texas. You go, y'all. Okay. Who knew? Who knew?
In
I
Texas.
had probably one of the best massages there. I called ahead though, so I knew what time I was getting in. I called ahead and booked my massage before, so everything was set up for me. And you're able to use their spa facilities throughout your stay. I didn't know that. So I even stayed an extra day just because I wanted to use the spa facilities. It was
Wow,
great.
nice.
Yeah, so they had, steam room, they had jacuzzi. I'm totally, just Makara, y'all owe me some money for that.
And perhaps we'll do a VIP weekend there. I think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it. Um in my they have the little lockers and stuff.
Mhm.
In my locker, I open up my locker and I actually had to use this particular quote yesterday and I brought it up and I read it to everybody in the room because the reason why is because going through a state and they're going through my parents' house and they're telling me, oh, this that and I'm just like sitting there and I'm just like hyperventilating, of course, and I had to calm myself down and I said, I'm just going to read this for everyone in the room because I have to have this in
To
my
center
spirit.
yourself, yeah.
And the quote is, there are far better things ahead than any we leave behind. I
Mm.
specifically took a picture of that. C.S. Lewis is where they got that from. And that was sitting in my locker. And I thought it was so very powerful that was in
Yeah.
my locker. I don't know if they
Just
have
for
different quotes
you.
in other lockers, but I looked and I was like, I didn't even see any quotes in my other lockers when I went there after for other days. But that one was in my locker,
Wow.
peeking up at me, and I thought that was very interesting that was in my specific locker. And I took a picture of it because I knew I would need it, and I did need it yesterday. And
Wow.
so the fact that you talk about the process of breathing and then the process of manipulating your physical form and the feeling and the touching and that massage, I think is so very, very important. Um, if I can, because I'm doctor and da, 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 and I'm all about research. How did you research? Is it just lived experience, or is it just a lot of research that's gone into this? And I guess I'm going to stop my questions there because I know we're getting at the hour, but
Yeah. You know, I'm not a doctor, but that's the way I live my life pretty much. I'm constantly in research. Whenever I experience something, I I wanna know the meaning of it, the
yeah,
deeper meaning of it, you know? Usually, my mind goes directly to the scientific source, but sometimes it'll go spiritual first. But then I'm looking for confirmation and validation through science, whichever way around it goes, right? And
mhm,
if it's science that I go to first, then I'm just like, "Well, spiritually, what does this mean?" You
yeah,
know? And, um, and that's the way I live my life. I mean, I would say that began for me when, I was in my 20s, right? So I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and my parents fell ill,
mhm,
and my dad was 81 and my mom was, like, 63. around that time. And so my dad was really healthy. Like he taught me to play tennis when he was in his 70s, you know? But he had this gallbladder surgery. I'm sorry. It's like well, I'm not
Yeah.
sorry. It's just, um, clearly it's been a number of years since this happened. But anyway, and I was just really, like every spare moment I had, I was researching, is there a way that he can heal from this surgery
Yeah.
without using pharmaceuticals? Because I can see that the pharmaceuticals are actually killing him. And all at that time, all I could find was that when they create medicine, they just use the active ingredients, right? They don't use the
Mhm.
whole plant. And so when they don't use the whole plant, that's where the side effects come from. And I was
Yeah.
like, I've got so like my whole past 25, 26 years of my life, I've been like, I'm going to live my life and create my world, in the most holistic way I can possibly. And it wasn't until recently that I actually got certified as a holistic practitioner, but I've been living in this way. So yeah, um, and I was introduced to a different form of breath work while I was doing that certification, and now I'm working on tantra, and there's different forms of meditation and breath work in that as well. So that's where it comes from, and I can't live in a world where, I'm not researching, implementing. I got 6 kids, I got a whole laboratory up in here, right? So it's like,
Right.
it's not just me that I experiment on, and
Yeah.
just for kicks, they all have different body types. So
Oh,
I've
wow,
run all
nice.
kinds of laboratory studies. Yeah.
That's awesome, and I think that's very important. It's also important to my work as well, is that expertise comes in many different ways and forms, and we have to trust that people are definitely their own experts as well, you know? And and I love how people are like, "Oh, we've got to get these experts in and this and that," and I have to question, "Well, who are your experts that you're using? Why are they just one type of person and individual?" And especially when it comes to the schools, man, they really want to get in these schools. And I said, well, if you want the expert in the school, you got to go to the janitor. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the
Yeah.
janitor will tell you everything you need to
Everything.
know about that school.
Yes, yes.
And so what expertise do we value? What expertise are we opening ourselves to or closing ourselves off from?
Yes.
And knowing that the community within the schools are their own experts, and
Yes.
trusting their expertise. And so, when you're like, I'm not a doctor, and I think another friend of mine said yesterday, um, you know, she's been studying international law for the past 18 months. And she was click, 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 clack, clack, clack. She's not a doctor neither, but she is definitely an expert at that law, the
Yeah.
international law that she has been studying. And I am just amazed even at myself, because I think I looked up one day and I was just writing, and I looked up one day and I said, I think I'm done. And I went to the chair and I said, does this look right? Am I done? And they were like, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there during my whole defense, and I'm like, I think I don't even know how I got here, y'all. You know what
And
I
you
mean?
know what? As you're saying that, like, I guess in a way, I've written my dissertation, a couple of
You have.
dissertations, right? I wrote
You
8
have.
books. So
That's it. That's it. That's what it is, right?
yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
writing and taking the research and the experiences. And just like what you said, you're creating your laboratory of wonderful, beautiful children. And just like me with my child, I test out all my like crazy experiential learning, with her, especially during COVID. I just pulled her out of school. I'm like, boom, you're with me.
Yeah.
And And even then, it was a complete decolonization that I had to do every single day, because
Mhm.
the school and education system really really puts a thing on you where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. And I'm totally going against everything I know as a teacher. And so some days I would go in and I'd just be like, okay, come on, let's get these books and da, da, da,
Right,
and I
you
got
get into
scared,
that
getting
conditioning,
scared
yeah.
because we'd been conditioned that way. But in actuality, um, we didn't mess up. We actually pushed her way forward. By the time she went back to school, she's in first grade reading third grade level
Wow.
via their testing, you know? And so, but it was a experiential learning, just like Vygotsky, he practiced on his kids. And it was also waking up and decolonizing my mind every single day. Really, it was. So
Yeah.
I say kudos to you, and much more success to you. I am so happy that you are in my life. I am so excited and happy that we are going on this trip to St. Martin. Please, everybody else, join us.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go ahead and yes, to unlearn, to learn. Yes,
Yes.
that's what we have to do. That's what the whole system has to do. And so,
And
yeah.
this is our beautiful Elizabeth, who we have to reschedule our conversation. Yeah,
Liz!
this is
I
Liz.
saw the name. I was like, "What's
Yeah,
up?"
so, we're mutual friends. I believe I met you through
Mhm,
Liz. I
mhm.
think it was
Sure
that way
did.
around. Yeah, so, and, we will all be together in St. Martin. So thank you for being here live with us, Liz, even
Thank
though it was a scheduling conflict for you. And thank you so much, for being with me today, Dr. Marie. I'm going to call you Dr. Marie because I heavily encourage, since you did the work, that you be called by that. So, and
Not by you, Cordelia.
okay. All right, just I will drop the doctor. Um, but for everyone else who's watching, you must call her Dr. Marie. And, but
No new friends. No, I'm just kidding. More friends, more friends.
you're such a beautiful soul, and, yeah, hey, beauties, some of my favorite ladies who will get there on, yeah, we'll
Yes,
be
we're
beaching
going.
together. Yeah, so I'm happy we were able to have this conversation today about what Replenish Me looks like, and this conversation was so much better than we planned, right?
Exactly.
Air quotes for those who are listening and not watching, because, we had a plan,
Yeah,
but our conversation was so much bigger and better than the plan. So, uh, if you wanna know more about the Replenish Me experience, you can connect with me here on, whatever platform you're watching, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, or you can just reach out to me directly, via my website at cordeliagaffar.com and get more information there. So, um, thank you for being here. I'm going to
thank you.
run an ad for the network that we're on before I run the actual closing. So thank you to the Wake Up with Giants network for having the Free to Be show as well. All right. Goodbye, and I'll see you next week for our session.
Are you tired of playing small? Stop wondering what it takes to live a giant life. Come stand on the shoulders of giants. From our mind-shifting interviews with the world's most powerful giants to our global community of people reaching their potential just like you, Wake Up with Giants TV offers hundreds of episodes to help you live a giant life. Listen now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify, and more. Wake Up with Giants TV.
So, are you free? Do you own your part in that? rather than lingering in shame, guilt, and despair. Let's see where you can create more freedom, more joy, and replenish from within. Visit me at CordeliaGaffar.com and sign up for the 5 ways to only create joy. Until next week, be free.